Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and today I'm gonna do something a little different. I used to do these a while back, but I haven't done this in a while. It's the first time I've done this for RWBY, but I'm gonna be doing a theory because a lot of people are discussing theories about the Spring Maiden. And, they're giving their whole things. And no, people, it's not Raven. Raven is not the Spring Maiden. Just saying that right now. The Crow would have already known this. I don't know where people are coming up with this idea. But that's for another story. I want to talk about a theory that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. I want to talk about a theory that I think could possibly be happening at some point. Maybe not even in this season of Volume 5. Could be something down the road. But I think it's something really more that I think needs to be discussed. Because I don't think a lot of people are considering it. Now, a lot of people talk about, the infamous Cinder Scar. That she got at the end of Volume 3 when Ruby Rose, took her out with her new silver eyes, and that gave her the scar after she killed Pura, and fully took control of the Fall Maiden powers. But one thing I don't think people are talking about, and I noticed this in Volume 4, and I'm pretty sure I kind of hinted at this in a lot of my reviews, but there's something really to be talked about the situation, because throughout the entire Volume 4, anytime we seen Cinder, she was either distraught, she was just kind of upset about the situation, and she was not really the same character that she had once was. Cinder was a much, much different character than she was prior to her getting the scar. Now, Cinder wasn't the perfect character. She was kind of like, kind of more of a conniving, hide behind everyone, do what she does, and then gets out of there once she gets what she wants. She was that type of character. Even when she got half of the Fall Maiden's power, they showed in the flashback, where she really didn't have any power at that point. She was a very good manipulator. So I want to talk about this, her character, where she is right now, and where we could possibly be going with Cinder moving forward. The possibility of my theory here is of the following, and I'm going to explain in a second on why I think they're going in this route. Now, again, before I get into the theory, this does not mean this is actually going to happen. I have to explain that very thoroughly, because this is, in fact, a theory. This doesn't mean this really is going to happen, and other people have had theories too. I've heard theories about the entire RWBY game will eventually be the seasonal maidens at one point, which I think that would be too obvious if they were going to do something like that, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. But I think this theory is more probable than something as obvious as that not a lot of people are talking about. And I always like going for the theories of where the story is going, not necessarily just obvious things that could possibly be happening. So what I think's going to happen is Cinder is going to turn reluctantly into a good guy. Yes, you heard it from me. I know Cinder's a villain, and she could still end up being a villain. She could end up becoming an anti-hero. I don't know. But I know this is going to sound really weird. But from what I've seen, from how the story has gone, and how the character was developed, and how everything has changed since she got her powers and got the scar, I think Cinder is slowly turning into a good guy. Now, let me explain, because there's going to be a lot of people in the comment section that's going to be like, well, whoa, how is Cinder turning into a good guy? That just doesn't make sense. It makes sense if you actually look at the grand scheme of everything that's happening here. If you just look and analyze every scene from the 4th season or volume 4, and you see the change of Cinder in that season, and then you see the last episode of season 5, you can see that there is something there. There's something different there. And now some people are just like, oh, well, she's just rage. She wants to get her revenge on Ruby Rose. That's easy. That's easy to say that, okay? That, oh, yeah, she just wants to get her revenge on Ruby Rose for giving her a scar, with the silver eyes, But it's more than that. It's really more than that. I don't think they gave Cinder a scar on the eye on accident. I don't think that was just like, oh, we're just going to put a, scar on the eye and stuff like that and call it a day. I don't think they did that just for that reason. I really believe that Cinder is a character, funny enough, that was inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, now people are going to be like, well, Zuko is nothing like Cinder, and she isn't. I'm not saying that she is. She actually is more like Azula, if anything. She's more like Azula, if anything, at least in the first three seasons. She was more like Azula, wanting power. Well, I mean, technically Azula already had power, but she was similar in that character, manipulating people, to join her side and whatnot. And that's how, and in her backstory, that's how she got, Mercury and Emerald to join, her, group, or whatever. That's how she, she was a manipulator. She was very good at it. She's kind of similar that way into Azula, but she's got the scar on the eye like Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So the thing about this character now is that she wants her revenge on Ruby. Basically, she wants to go after Ruby Rose, and I think, we're going to see a confrontation at some point between those two, but I don't think it's going to end exactly the way people think it's going to end. What I think is going to happen here is that eventually, if you watch the 4th season, which I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this video right now did, you notice that Salem, who, the main villain essentially here, you would notice, she was keeping a close eye on Cinder the whole season, forcing her to talk, because Cinder can't really talk that much anymore. She has to have someone, basically tell her, like, in quiet voice, because she's not very good at talking, and, Salem wouldn't allow that. Okay, she wouldn't allow that. There was a lot of different things. A lot of people were pissed at her, and she, would thump the desk and stuff like that. There was a lot of, similarities to what Zuko was going through. Now again, Cinder wasn't like Zuko prior to getting the scar, but I've noticed a real change in Cinder's character, since she has gotten the scar. And in the last episode, when she was attacking that hologram of Ruby Rose, it reminded me a lot about Zuko, when Zuko was obsessed with taking out Avatar Aang. It really reminded me of that. And I was like, you know what? We have something here. We really have something here. Now, like I said, Mike and Brian, when they originally created the Avatar: The Last Airbender, Zuko was never intended to be a hero or, turn into a hero later on. That was never intended. He was always supposed to be the villain in the beginning. Of course, later on, they created new villains, like Azula and stuff like that. And, they kind of transitioned him more into, like, kind of a justifiable sort of villain, but then eventually turned him into a hero at the end there. But it was no sure thing, though, because even when he decided to turn good, Avatar, or Team Avatar, didn't want him. Katara really didn't want him. Katara really hated him, which I don't blame Katara. Because obviously, Katara loved Aang. That was kind of obvious to the dissuade of Zuko Katara shippers, which I still can't believe that there are people that ship those two together. I don't get that one at all. It was clear that Katara never really liked Zuko, in that way. But, but getting back to the point, they never wanted him in. Eventually, they rolled over, and they accepted Zuko into the group. And I could see a similar scenario coming out with Cinder. I don't see Cinder being killed off. I do not see Cinder being killed off at all in this series. And I know there are going to be people that are going to be like, oh, well, there is no way that John is going to be like all for this at all. John's going to hate Cinder because Cinder killed Pura, but the thing is, it's very similar to Aang, because Aang would have died had it not been for Katara's water healing abilities, which kept him alive. And we still don't know the whole thing on Pura. Anyways, we don't know if Pura is truly dead or not. A lot of people have said that, yes, she is dead, which, I'm going to just say this right now. I do believe Pura is dead. But if they do decide to bring her back, somehow with Dragon Balls, or come up with a reason why she's still alive, it happens. A lot of people say, oh, it's so far-fetched, there's no way they could, bring back Pura, like that. It would just kind of ruin the story or whatever. No, it wouldn't. It would not ruin the story at all. Characters come back to life all the time in fiction. It's not unheard of, and it would actually be kind of cool if it did happen, more than it didn't. But this is not really a theory on whether Pura died or not, because honestly, as it stands right now, she is dead, until proven otherwise. But I'm not going to get more into that, because that's not really the discussion of this theory. But like I said, I think there is a possibility that Cinder might eventually, at some point, maybe not even in this season, maybe not even necessarily in this season or volume, but eventually will turn into a good guy or girl or whatever you want to call that. And I was really sold on this theory after the first episode. I was really sold on this theory of Cinder possibly turning good at some point, or at least breaking away from Salem, which is another possibility as well, and then might eventually evolve into it. There could also be the possibility, too, that Cinder's personality has changed completely anyways with the Silver Eyes. We don't know the full effect of the Silver Eyes. It is still speculation at this point. Yes, Crow explained the blunt of it, but even Crow said in the last episode that he doesn't like being a teacher. So there could be also some things that Crow didn't explain as well, you know, other things that we still don't know about the Silver Eyes. We've only seen the Silver Eyes once, so we don't exactly know the full effect of what the Silver Eyes can do. Maybe the Silver Eyes altered her personality. Who knows? You know, because Cinder is not the same character that she once was. She is not this manipulating character anymore that she once was. And something is changing in her, and it's kind of similar to the way Zuko was. Zuko's character was slowly changing, and eventually it became apparent on what he had to do. He had to go through all those terrible things to figure out what he must do. And that's kind of similar to what I'm thinking is happening with Cinder here. It's really weird, but at the same time it isn't. And it's not far-fetched if you look at the story and if you look at some of the things that have happened since the Silver Eyes attacked her. You know, there's just something there which I think really needs to be discussed more. Obviously, we won't know for sure. Maybe at the end of this season we'll know more. Maybe, you know, this is something that we won't know until down the road, unless something completely happens in this season that completely debunks this theory completely. But right now, as of right now, you know, discussing it right now here on YouTube with the things to go on, I think this is a very possible theory. You know, maybe her personality has been altered because she's not the same manipulator that she once was. As a matter of fact, it seems Salem is more manipulated than she is, and that could be something that she doesn't like. You know, now maybe the Silver Eyes is making her more of, you know, a character that's responsible as a fall maiden, because those people are supposed to be, you know, protectors essentially. You know, because only girls, I guess, can. I still think that's kind of bull, though. By the way, that only girls can be maidens. I still think that's kind of bull. Like, they have the loophole where they said, "Oh, then it just completely goes to the next person." Then I was like, "What? That's some bull right there." But yeah. So that's kind of my presentation for this theory. I'd like to get some feedback on what you guys think about this. Do you think Cinder will possibly turn into a good guy eventually, or good girl eventually? Do you think she'll turn the corner? You know, as it's been noted, Salem did say in season 4 that she is a vital piece, now being the Fall Maiden, and that she's going to constantly be closely keeping an eye on her. Which means there's something there, you know, because she is the Fall Maiden. So there is something there. So maybe even Salem sees this. And that's why Salem wants to make sure that she's always with her, so she can't try to change her ways and turn good or whatever, or betray her. That is something that we need to discuss. It really is. It's something we need to discuss. And it's something that I think a lot of people really need to consider, possibly, about, you know, of what's going to happen to Cinder in the future here. Let me know what you guys think about this theory. Do you guys think this is possible? Do you think there's, that this, you know, there's no way? Do you think there's, like, more to it? Or do you think, you know, that there's something else, you know, out there that could possibly be better for Cinder, you know, than just her turning good? Well, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Comment, rate. If you like this video or my other videos, please subscribe. And that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace.